If you were to ask me what the best car ever made is, I would without a doubt say a Toyota 4Runner. And whether you got an 88 or a 2008, odds are you're very happy with it and have no plans to sell. Same with me. I own a 1997 Toyota 4Runner and I bought it at a dealer-only auction for a steal of a price. And when I first got this thing, it was a bare 3rd Gen 4Runner. Nothing cool about it, just a plain old grandpa's ride. And I'm going to show you everything I did to take it from this to what it is now. Now, like any good story, we need to start from the beginning. I bought this car in 2020 and it had very little wrong with it when I bought it, even though the auction was selling it as an in-op vehicle. Now, being a mechanic, anytime I go to an auction, I always look at the in-op section because I'm looking for a deal and something that's easy to fix. Now, when I saw this 4Runner, my first thought was the same as everybody else's. Bad head gasket, especially since there was valve cover gaskets sitting in the back seat which looked like head gaskets because they had a head gasket on the box. So I went over to it and I popped the hood because I wanted to be sure about this thing. And to my surprise, there was no battery in it and it looked like the positive battery cable had melted off. So I took my pocket knife out, skimmed some wire back to where I got some good cable, and hooked the auction's jump box up to this thing, and it fired right up. Once I did that, I shut the hood immediately and turned the car off. I did not want anybody else knowing that this motor ran and did not have a blown head gasket because they could drive up the price on me when it came time to bid. And my plan worked out perfectly. In fact, nobody else bidded on this thing but me in my local junkyard, so I got it for a very cheap price. I won't tell you exactly what it was, but I will tell you it was under $1,000. We got it back to the shop and it was time to look over everything that we needed to do to make it roadworthy. We started by putting a water pump and timing belt kit, changing the oil, and servicing the transmission. That was stage 1. Stage 2, I put a lift kit on it, and this was during COVID and I didn't have a lot of money, so I went cheap and bought a rough country lift kit. It had spacers on the front with 20-year-old suspension, and it had extended springs and struts in the back. I found some used tires and I bought some steel D window rims off of Amazon. Because of these rims, I had to run 1.25" spacers just to get them to fit around the calipers on the front of the vehicle. It didn't ride the best, but it looked really cool, so I was happy with it for the time being. During this time, I also redid the interior completely. I put all new carpet, new front seats, a whole new dash and center console in this thing because the 1997 models of these 4Runners does not come with cup holders in the center console. They had some weird cup holder that flipped out of the dash, and they did not have the center console cup holders until after 2000. So I found a 2001 online, bought his center console along with his door panels. Then I went out to the junkyard and I was lucky enough to find some good looking seats and some good carpet to put in this thing. We put it all together and it looked really nice when we were done. So that basically gets you up to current times. There hasn't been much else I've done except for fabricate the step boards and the front grille. These are both custom made. The step boards were made out of old gas pipe and some angle iron that I welded together. And the front grille I cut out myself, used some Bondo to patch up the empty spaces, and bought some ABS plastic mesh off of Amazon, filled in the panel, and used the FJ Cruiser logo that I bought off of Amazon as well in the middle of it. Spray painted it with some bed liner from Home Depot, and I think all of this came out looking really nice. This is my 1997 Toyota 4Runner SR5. Now, this thing's got 240-some thousand miles on it. The motor still runs really great, as you see. I got a little corrosion on the battery. Let's not look at that today. Today we're going to be looking at more of the suspension that's going on. As you see, this thing sits a little higher than normal 3rd Gen 4Runners do, and that's because I have a lift kit on here. Now, this is a very cheap lift kit. This is a spacer made by Rough Country with the original Toyota shock on it, the original lower control arm, and the original upper control arm with the original upper ball joint as well. Now, as you see, I didn't really upgrade the front suspension very much. Now, on the rear, I did buy the full rear suspension lift kit, which comes with N3 shock absorbers, strut absorbers, and then has the lifted springs in the rear as well. We put those on a couple years ago, and this thing's been riding okay ever since. It's not very comfortable to ride in. You can basically feel whenever you run over a piece of paper in the road, you can feel every little bump and rock that you run over. So today we're going to be upgrading this suspension kit on this 4Runner and I'm gonna show you what we're upgrading it from the rough country to something else. So we're gonna keep the lift the same exact height. All right, so here's our parts here. We got everything in stock to put on this 4Runner today to upgrade the suspension kit. Now, first of all, on the rear, we're going with the Old Man Emu, and these are the upgraded struts for extra weight in the rear. I mean, the upgraded springs for extra weight in the rear. I believe it's 891 is the SKU on it. This is all from, not all of this, but this is from SRQ Fabrications, along with the rear struts, the Bilstein 5100 OEM series rear struts. And then we got the extended, the rear struts are extended as well. It's from SRQ Fabrications. And then we got the extended 5100 Bilstein front struts assembled by SRQ Fabrications, assembled and sold by SRQ Fabrications. All the shocks and suspension, thank you SRQ for that. Also got an off-road bumper coming from them whenever they have the time. Now, I got these off of Amazon. This is Freedom Off-Road. I went a little cheaper on the upper control arms just because I didn't feel like spending $600 on upper control arms. You could go with the SPC or the JBAs, and they're a little more heavy duty than this, but these are heavy duty enough for what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be doing any rock crawling anytime soon. I live on the East Coast, so most we'll be doing is some overland trails, stuff like that. Nothing too big there. So we also got some extended axles. Now, I got these off of partsgeek.com, and they're made by a company called Track Motive, and they are the slip joint axles, if you will. You know, I don't know if that's actually what you call them, but they're extended travel axles. And my axles, you'll see on this thing, they're toast. So we're going to start on the rear because the rear is easier to do. All we got to do is throw some springs and some struts on the rear, and then we're going to move up to the front where we're going to do the axles, the struts, and the upper control arms. And then we're going to see how it sits and how it rides. All right, we got a nice view of my old rough country lift here, and my rusty muffler. My frame is in great condition on this vehicle. I mean, you can't ask for a better frame on one of these vehicles. When I first bought this thing, I was in love with the frame. That's why I've decided to keep it as my own. Body's in great condition too. I mean, you can't complain about that. I mean, it is spotless under here, besides all the oil leaks up front. You see what I was talking about with my axles here. Not ideal, but you know, here we go. We're working on it now, so might as well keep rolling. We gotta get these bolts out to get the struts out, and then you gotta go up and over this, and there's a bolt up there we gotta get out. And that's not too bad to get the struts out. And then once you get the struts out, I'm going to support the axle here with a dead man stand. And we're going to get the springs out once we get the struts out. So. All right, my socket's topping out on the body of the car, so. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. I'd excuse the converter cutting in the back, but this hole right here, I got the extended travel shocks. And really the difference is they travel a little longer, but it comes with this, if you look at our assembly here, the alignment washer for the new shock, it doesn't really go up in there either. I mean, it kind of does, but it doesn't really pop up in there like I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a step bit and try to clean this up where it'll fit right up in there nicely. And I don't have to, and I can always... All right, that bushing pops up in there nicely now. All right, so this is our strut bushing setup. This is the alignment. This is where the frame is going to go in between. You're going to bolt the bushings down in between. Now on this, you can tell that one of these shocks, so I got the piece of cardboard, you see how one of these shocks is a little taller than the other. This is for the driver's side, this taller shock, because the gas tank's on the driver's side. So it'll sit a little crooked if you pit it the wrong way. So you got to pit this one on the driver's side, this one on the passenger side. So the shorter one goes on the passenger. We're going to go ahead and pit those in and pit the struts in too. And then we're going to work on the driver's side. So this is how it goes up in there. I'm going to sit it right up in there like that. So we got our washer up in that hole. Had to fabricate that one a little bit too, but we'll cry about it later. Yeah, definitely should have done this first. A little more. Is that all you can get? We're gonna need more than that. Oh, easy, easy.
I know.
All right, hold on. There we go. All right, we're good. All right, that's how the back looks installed on travel with extended springs. Nice heavyweight springs on here. These are OEM, like I said, 891 springs. Hey, whew, I really don't want you to get that hubcap off. Goodness gracious. That axle is crusty. There it goes, nice. All right. Woo, that's one long ass bolt there. Long ass bolt. Maybe. There it goes. Come on. There it goes. All right. Woo! What do we think, huh? There it goes. Painted my spindle because I couldn't resist it. So anyway, this is coming off the new upper control arm right here. And when you put your new ball joint in, that goes in just like that, and then this goes in the bottom. Now we're gonna So after I got the passenger side buttoned up, I decided to do a brake upgrade on this thing. I needed new front brakes, and I decided to do the Tundra brake update while I was doing it, which requires new pads, new rotors, and new calipers. If you've never heard of this, it's where you take brakes from a Toyota Tundra and put them on your 4Runner to have more stopping power. It turns out they line up exactly right and will work with very few modifications. I'm going to show you how I did that in a later video, but for now we're going to go over the rest of the front suspension. On the driver's side, I knew the procedure a lot better than I did on the passenger side. I was kind of learning as I went. So on the driver's side, I took the whole spindle off, took the whole strut off, took the whole upper control arm off, and I basically had this thing bare. I then cut the ball joint out of the spindle, pressed the ball joint out, painted my spindle, and I also got my brakes ready for my spindle while I had it all off, put the strut in, put the axle in, and then I was able to put the upper control arm on and put the spindle back on. A lot easier of a process than what I did last time, which was try to leave the spindle on the car. Now before I set this thing on the ground and see exactly how it sits, I got one more surprise for this 4Runner. Alright, we got a surprise for the Toyota 4Runner today. We're going to be taking, hopefully taking the spacers off of all sides here. The rims that I had, the D windows, they were rubbing this caliper without the spacer on there. And here's the surprise here. We got Rad checking it out. Bam! TRD Pros, Rad, what do you think?
Well, expensive one, right?
Ah, they weren't that bad. They weren't that bad. All four of them put on. We got them put on by Discount Tire. They actually did a nice job there. They So the D windows, they couldn't balance those. I had another shop put them on. They couldn't balance them right. So they put the beads in them, and it just wasn't right when you were balancing it. So I got Discount Tire to Road Force balance these things, and they put the weights on the inside here. And hopefully that's gonna be what we're hoping for, because 55 miles an hour, we're going to get rid of that vibration is what we're hoping for. So we're going to get these off the truck and get them on the 4Runner, see how it drives on the way home. All right, let's see what happens when they touch the ground here. Hopefully everything oh yeah, we should be fine. We should be fine. Wow, the spacers, they really I mean, so just for reference here, this white line was like almost even all the way out here. Now I am looking a lot better. I was trying to get rid of the wide stance, and these tires give it a wide stance enough. You can see my camber way down there. I need to get that realigned. With this new Bilstein 5100 kit on here, the suspension is riding a whole lot better. I feel a whole lot more confident taking sharp turns and hitting big bumps in the road. It is a big step up from the rough country lift and the OEM suspension on the front with spacers. Now there's plenty of kits out there for these 3rd gen 4Runners. You can go and spend as much money as you want on a suspension kit. Doesn't mean you're going to have any better or any less of a better ride than I do, but to each his own. And I feel like if you want a good OEM suspension kit where you can do a little bit of off-roading, a little bit of overlanding, and still drive on the pavement, the Bilstein 5100 OEM kit is for you. There's also some comparable kits that are probably be in your price range as well. By all means, I'm not done with this 4Runner. I still have the Tundra brake upgrade to show you in my next video, and then I'm also going to be doing the lower suspension with new OEM ball joints and OEM tire rods. We're going to be doing a poor man's alignment as well on this thing, because I've taken this thing to several alignment shops while I've had to lift, and nobody can get the toe or the camber set quite right. The toe is always just a little bit to the right, and the camber is just always a little bit V'd in the inside. So we're going to see if we can get that 100% right with nothing more than a level, a rope, and a 2x4. We also have a full off-road bumper coming from SRQ Fabrications, and I'm going to show you how to weld that together, get it powder coated, and install it on your vehicle, and everything you need to worry about when doing so. Stay tuned for all of these videos coming out, and you can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook, where I try to post weekly content about the day-to-day things that I do. You can also email me at justcallmeeddie1@gmail.com to ask any questions that you have about your personal projects or vehicles. Thank you for watching, and as always, whatever you do, however you do it, make sure you work hard, make sure you play hard, and most importantly, make sure you stay dirty. You can just call me Eddie.